Good morning, afternoon, whenever you are. Not legal advice. Please like, subscribe, share, comment. Show it to pets and animals, plants, any objects. Coffee cups seem to like my videos also, but they don't comment very often, unfortunately. So today I'm going to be talking about a little bit about the Elon Altman and the threat to humanity and the current context of that based on current events. And I'm going to talk about Mmtlp arbitration, new update, and question about the intellectual capacity of my arbiter, who happens to be about 81 years old, the chief arbiter, the one who controls the proceedings, luckily. But before I start with that, as I often do, how do you obtain, and some of these you might have to listen carefully, how do you obtain IP, intellectual property protection, for leather? Isn't the patent obvious? Next, lawyer says, lawyer speaking to client, let me give you my honest opinion. Client, no, I want your professional opinion. And last but not least, what do you call a friendly, nice, and smiley person at a lawyer's convention? Answer, the caterer. Anyway, let's go right into Elon and Altman. So that's a action that was pending in San Francisco, was filed by Elon recently, about a week ago. He sued Altman and Brockman and a bunch of entities related to OpenAI with regard to GPT-4 that Microsoft apparently has an interest in. And it relates to a purported agreement amongst Elon, Brockman, Altman, called a founding agreement that related back in time to 2015. Not the greatest drafted agreement. You have to look through emails, but there's a claim for promissory estoppel. In other words, there were promises, and Elon relied upon those promises, spent money, etc. So that action is going on, but there really is no defined agreement. So it'll be interesting to litigate. And ultimately, the agreement was, because of the threat to humanity, because of what Google was doing at the time, and the issue of AGI being a threat to humanity, they wanted to start a new enterprise and compete with Google and protect mankind. That was 2015. Now, there was a dispute later as to what happened 2018 through 2019, etc. But it does appear that Elon contributed approximately $50 million plus his time and other talents, including personnel. An agreement appears to have occurred when they realized that they needed substantially more money to kind of make this go forward. It appears that Altman and Brockman, peers, didn't want Tesla to fund the enterprise. Elon did, because he thought that could provide the means, at least the capital necessary. Also, would help facilitate full self-driving. I think he saw himself as more trustworthy than Google, what he was concerned about. And but Altman didn't, and Brockman apparently weren't interested in that. So they kind of went their separate ways, but no rescission. And we're familiar with what rescission means, kind of putting it back like it never happened. No rescission of that founding agreement, which seems to be based primarily, notwithstanding whatever the disagreement is, that it was to protect humanity. That was the underlying purpose, and clearly seems to be the paramount intention of all parties. And it's referenced, at least in the limited amount of stuff that we've seen, it's referenced in emails, etc. And I'm sure when discovery moves on, we'll see all kinds of detail. So eventually, Altman and Brockman moved on to Microsoft. They provided ChatGPT, in essence, through 1 through 3, which would have been 2020 through 2022. Eventually, ChatGPT 4 comes out in 2023. I think it's March. And because of that, Elon, and because of the quality of ChatGPT 4, Elon becomes frightened. And I'm now speculating. He becomes frightened or concerned, or more concerned, because of the quality, and now we're approaching AGI and the threat to humanity. So he sues Altman, Brockman, and a bunch of the OpenAI entities that do business in Delaware. So can you then take action against the controlling members in Delaware like Altman on those entities? I don't know. But he sues them in 2024. So again, his primary concern is the threat to humanity. And current events seem to have supported him and maybe have triggered him. So there's a recent story about a former Google engineer who was employed at Google in California from 2019 through 2023 in the AI section and was exposed to confidential information. And this gentleman was just arrested in January. It was detected by Google in late December and thereafter by the FBI. And apparently what he was doing is he was going in, copying files using an Apple app, and then turning those into PDFs. He would then sell the information or bring it to China, where he was involved as a CTO of one startup, AI startup, and he started his own AI startup. And in November of 2023, he appeared at a Beijing event where he was promoting his AI product. When he came back to the United States in or about December, somehow Google found out about it. The feds found out about it before he returned to China on a one-way ticket. He was arrested in Newark, California. That happened this week. And apparently he was helped by another Google employee who, with regard to his time cards, timed him in while he was in China doing his own thing. I presume that this employee probably also is going to get arrested also. I don't know if this other employee also was involved in misappropriation of trade secrets, artificial intelligence. Remember, Elon's concern was Google back when they formed this founding agreement. So it's very interesting that Google was penetrated and technology was taken to China. And even in a discussion about this particular gentleman who was arrested, he did indicate that the AI would be crafted to fit with the Chinese society, which again is language that would be concerning to somebody who is trying to protect the interest of humanity, which is Elon. So I found that very interesting. Same time today, again, ironic, Microsoft acknowledged that there was a breach by Russian hackers of their core software system. And apparently those hackers got in because they hacked executives back in 2023. They got access and they used that information to hack again into the core system of Microsoft. Now, Microsoft is connected to Altman. So Elon's concerns are about threats to humanity. Here we have two recent incidents where the AI information may have been accessed by employees, governments, etc., would seem to support Elon's concerns about access to that information. Also, if in fact Google found out about this in December of 2023 and the FBI, let's say January, I wouldn't be surprised if Elon also discovered that at that time. And the reason why the lawsuit was filed when it was, which is now, was because they just discovered this. And they either were concerned about the information or thought from a strategic point of view, if they filed the lawsuit and these facts were coming out, that would bolster their concerns about the threat to humanity. So I found the events interesting. I think that these two things will come up in the trial between the parties related to the issue of the threat and the ability to secure the information. And I will certainly report on it and that case as we go forward. Because both facts would concern Elon's concerns and even the concerns expressed by Altman as to the threat to humanity. Okay, so that's the Tesla part of it. Second part of it is MMTLP. I'm in arbitration with Fidelity. It's been going on for a year. Every filing I have done, and even if I was not correct in all of mine, I couldn't be incorrect in all of mine. None of my requests have been granted. Zero. And with regard to, and that's decided by, so there's a 3 arbitration panel. There's one arbiter, though, who is the central arbiter. That lead arbiter, the 81-year-old gentleman, I think Uncle Joe is 81. We know how competent and with it he is. But this arbiter, who is almost 81, he rules on all these matters. And unfortunately, despite my request, so he's got some issue with that too, no hearings, no rationale. So he just says denied without any reason, without any hearings. And that's been the case, just guessing, probably 8 to 10 times already. And that's with multiple motions. So I find that highly disconcerting, not surprising. The most recent proceeding, and that's within the past 3 days, so it's current events, was with regard to my motion to compel discovery. I had sought documents and I'd sought identity of witnesses. And Fidelity's counsel, of course, responded with nothing. I made motions to compel. I also referenced that November 15th, 2022 letter where it indicates that Fidelity is not selling Mmtlp shares. And notwithstanding clearly that some of the requests should have been granted, the court, without ruling, without hearing, without any type of rationale, denied my motion to compel. Shocking that this brilliant octogenarian, however you pronounce, and somebody who's over 80, he ruled to the contrary. And I don't know whether he's just pissed, he's biased, or he's incompetent. Now, there's a 3 arbiter panel, but the one arbiter rules on all these proceedings until we get to the end. And they signed an oath saying they would be open, fair, and honest. So and not biased. So either he violated that oath, or if he didn't violate that oath, then he's mentally incompetent. There's no other choice. So I've asked, as of yesterday, I filed with the court, with the director of Finra arbitration, I filed a request to do a mental competency hearing of the arbitration panel. Now, based upon how they've responded to this point in time, am I optimistic that that will occur? No, but I've made my request. All I could do is ask, and if they don't respond, then so be it. But I believe that either there has to be one or the other. Either the arbiter is biased or incompetent, and neither one of those is good. I don't know. His age should not be a factor, but the fact that he's almost 81, there could be some concern about his competency at this point in time. I intentionally have not referenced his name, and to this point in time, I will continue not referencing this gentleman's name. So, how am I going to deal with that besides my request? Well, I've thought about this since I'm stuck in arbitration, and somebody suggested this to me, so I give credit to this person. I'd already thought about it, but they also suggested it to me. I may go back to the federal court, indicate that, how could FINRA manage this and they're not managing it, and therefore the court should take it back or order it to a different tribunal. That's something I've considered. Alternatively, and I haven't fully played it out, but FINRA charges thousands of dollars for these proceedings. So I have to pay thousands of dollars. As silly as that sounds, I have to pay thousands of dollars to participate in this proceeding where the arbiter either hates me and is not going to rule in my favor because I've challenged him at all moments, or just is not mentally competent. So not a great situation. And those will continue. And we could see the direction proceedings are going, although anything's possible. It may change based upon the evidence. So I've thought about going into court and getting a declaration from the court that I'm not obligated to pay any fees based on what has gone on to date. So that wouldn't be me seeking relief from Finra, where immunity might pop in. That's more me getting a determination beforehand as to what my financial responsibility would be as to fees in the arbitration, especially where the arbiter is incompetent. And beyond that, or at least in my mind, is incompetent. Beyond that, the arbiter will become a witness. So he may need to disqualify himself. Again, I haven't really thought this all the way through, but I will. And this weekend, I will come to a conclusion. I will probably send out a letter to the director indicating my intention and that the arbiter needs to recuse himself, and we'll see where that goes. But at this point in time, there's just the way it's been handled. And again, this is on top of everything else I've said. So I try to literally, every time I'm providing an update, it reflects new information, doesn't reflect old information. So it just reflects what's happened since the last time. And this time was again, no hearing, no rationale, just a denial of the motions to compel, and it was an illogical ruling. So I've asked the director to have a mental competency hearing of the arbiters, and I'm going to either do one or two of the proceedings I just mentioned, either going back to federal court or getting a determination of my financial responsibility to Finra, or both. And I will keep you apprised. So that's it for today. Be well. Have a great weekend. That's the current update for today with regarding to Elon versus Altman and my Mmtlp Fidelity arbitration. Be well. Take care. Have a great weekend.